But at some point, you are going to exit your business. The question is, when and for how much? Welcome back to another episode of the Success Unleashed show, podcast. I don't know what I'm calling this damn thing. Some of you are listening, some of you are watching. Hell, we'll just call it whatever we want to, right? That's what Joe Rogan does. But today I want to talk to you about something that is probably interesting to you, or it should be at least. Back in 2020 and 2021, I was working with a good friend of mine, Nick Long, and we were working based out of Newport Beach, California. Now, I wasn't working with contractors specifically at the time. We were working with all types of different business owners. And we were running a program where we were helping them position their businesses in a way that they could exit, right? Now, some of you are familiar with that term exit and some of you are not, but now's your chance to become familiar with it. Why? Because it matters to you, regardless of whether you're just starting off or whether you're doing a couple million or a few million a year, right? Now, when we talk about an exit, we're talking about you exiting the business. I hate to pop your bubble, but here's the truth. At some point, you are going to exit your business. You're either going to die, pass it on to your children, or you're still going to be alive and you're going to pass it on to somebody in your family, or you're going to have your employees buy you out, or you're going to sell to private equity, or you're going to get rolled up with some other companies, right? But at some point, you are going to exit your business. The question is, when and for how much? Can we determine when? No, I would love to say that we could, but we can't. Right? You don't know when you're going to live. You don't know when you're going to die. You don't know when it is that you're just going to wake up one morning and be like, hey, I'm done with this thing. I'm out. And you're checking out. You don't know that. But what you do know is at some point you're going to exit. And if that's the case, why are you not building the business to exit today? Think about that. Right now, if I was to ask you, how many aspects of your business are you currently involved in? What would you tell me? Well, you're wearing the CEO hat? Check, probably. Are you involved in some aspect of sales or marketing? Yep, probably. Let's throw that hat up there. What about making sure your jobs are running right? Yep, check that one as well. How about finance? Making sure that you're getting paid, you're paying your bills, and your profit margins are where they need to be. Yep, throw that one on there. What about running teams, right? Whether it comes to hiring or firing, training, anything associated with building your team. That's a yes too. So in other words, what you're telling me is if you were to try and exit your business right now, it wouldn't be worth very much, regardless of how much money you're bringing in. See, too often, companies focus on what's called EBITDA. Here's your lesson for the day. EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, right? Which is your net income, okay? That's what people are focused on. And they're like, oh, well, if I can make this money after paying all my bills, then I will get what's called a multiple of that money, right? So let's just say your leftovers 500,000 and you might get a multiple of 3. So you could sell your business for 1.5 million. Sounds pretty nice, right? Until you realize that no one is going to buy your business, regardless of what your EBITDA, your multiple is, if you're still attached to every aspect of your business. Because they're not buying you. They're buying your business, right? Now, what's the point of selling a business if you come along with the business? I'll tell you right now, if we're currently looking to buy a couple different businesses, and I won't mention anything because of some non-disclosure stuff, but we're currently looking to buy a couple of contracting businesses. And what I will tell you is that I've turned away the majority of them because although there was good money coming in, the owner was involved in every aspect of the business. And do you know how difficult that is to break, especially when you're an established business? Extremely. Now, last week I was in Arizona and I spent some time visiting with some friends of mine. Now they work in what's called private equity, right? And private equity is they have a whole lot of money from a whole lot of people and their job is to make sure that that money's safe and that money continues to make money. And they like the service industry. They like the construction sector because if it's a good business that has a good model that can run without the owner, there's a high likelihood that that money is going to keep coming in, right? And some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's called a roll up, right? Or a buyout. You've seen some of this stuff happen, maybe with your friends, maybe you've been involved in it. But I'll tell you that there's certain criteria that they look for. And the reason I was meeting with my friends down there was so we could talk about that criteria. And not only talk about the criteria, but how do we detach the contractor from his business? And I'll tell you, it came down to a couple different things, okay? Number one, and most important, the business needs what's called an operating system. Just like your computer won't run without an operating system, whether it's a Mac or a PC or Google or whatever, your business can't really run without an operating system. Now, you may think you have an operating system because it's all inside of your head, but that's the problem. It's all inside of your head, and people can't buy you, nor do you want to be sold with your business. So you need a business operating system, right? A way of running business. Now, for us, we have a certain system that we run. It's called Builder Pro, and we help you implement that operating system, right? In other words, a business that has the systems and the processes that can run without you, okay? The second thing is what we call an executive team. Now, depending on the size of your business, your executive team could be 3, it could be 10, right? But we're talking about the CEO, which could or could not be you. We're talking about the chief marketing officer. We're talking about the chief operations officer. We're talking about the chief sales officer. We're talking about technology, finance, right? All these different areas that you're going to need to focus on in your business. Well, eventually you want a team that can continue to run the business without you. And you've heard me on the show talk to different people anywhere from 14 to 30 to $50 million a year who have businesses that run without them, right? That's a sellable asset. So that's the second thing. And the third thing is exactly what we talked about at the beginning. Unfortunately, the only thing that most people focus on, which is the EBITDA, right? Your net income. And that's the third thing, right? So for example, this company out of Phoenix, they are looking for businesses that run an operating system, that have an executive team, which the owner is not a part of, and have an EBITDA of at least $1 million. And they have a blank check to buy businesses. Crazy, right? Shameless plug. If that is you, reach out to me. I'll connect you with them. But think about it this way, right? Again, you're going to exit your business in some way, shape, or form. So why not prepare for it now? Operating system. What do you need? Well, again, you need something that allows you to put the people, the processes, and the systems in place to run, right? Run without you. What does that mean? You need a marketing strategy, but you also need marketing processes. Whether your marketing is door knocking, your marketing is networking, your marketing is referrals, your marketing is any type of online advertising. You need a way of doing it so that whoever's doing it today, either they don't show up for work or they get fired, you can simply grab another person, put them in that role, and very quickly they should be able to complete that role. Same thing comes with sales, right? We need a sales process that gets done the same every single time. There's the same objections every time. Why can't we have the same process to overcome those? Make sense? Same thing with running your jobs. Some of you guys are like, well, every job's different. I'm a roofer. Well, yes, they are different because every roof is slightly different, but the process is the same. If you're a shingle guy, guess what? You're going to remove the shingles. And then if there's any plywood you need to replace, you're going to replace the plywood. And then you're going to put the underlayment and then blah, 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 blah. It's a process. Dial in the process, right? Your finances are the same way. Are you collecting any money up front? Which you should be. How much is that? Okay. What do payment terms look like? Okay. How much time are you giving them to pay? If they don't pay, what does mediation look like? Do you have a pre-lien or a lien process? Who's following up on that, right? What does all that look like? The financing side of things. Process, process, process. And the last thing, of course, is your team. What's your hiring process? What's your training process? What's your employee engagement and retention process? All of these things are processes that your business needs. So that's the first thing, right? The second thing now is the executive team. Now, I'll let you in on a little secret. You're going to struggle with hiring for the entirety of you being a business owner. And if you know that, should you ever stop hiring? No, always hiring, right? Always looking for the next best person for the role. What I like to say is you're creating what's called a hiring pool. So let's just say I need a chief marketing officer. I need somebody to run marketing for me. Well, I'm going to put out a job description that's going to say, hey, this is what I'm looking for, qualifications, compensation. I'm going to get some people who are interested. Now, personally, I like to leverage something called behavior profiling, which we'll get into that later. But for the purposes of this, I've identified a group of individuals. Now I'm going to interview them, see if they match our core values and our culture, see if they have the real experience, run them through some type of test, and then determine, I believe this is a qualified person or not. Now, sometimes that requires a secondary interview with the team, but sometimes no. So let's say you've identified 3 people that are qualified candidates. Well, if I'm going to hire one, I'm not going to tell the other 2, hey, you know what? We've already filled the position. Thanks. We'll see you later. I'm going to tell the other 2, hey, we filled the position, but we may be adding to the position shortly. So if you're okay with it, I'd love to maintain contact with you. Now, why would I do that? Well, because I don't know what's going to happen with the person that I hired. Maybe they're really good and they stick around for 10 years. Awesome. Maybe they suck and after 3 days, they're gone. Well, do I want to start back at 0? No, I want to have an established relationship with someone or more than one person that I can reach out to and be like, hey, this position's opened up. You've already gone through the hiring process with them. You know that they're qualified. You know you'd like them in there. So now it's just a simple conversation of what to make it work. See what I mean? Processes, okay, to build the team. And then the third thing is profitability. Now, if you're not working with an accountant, I highly recommend you find a qualified and competent accountant. Now, we have one that we recommend, Jeremy. He was on one of our episodes. I'd love to hook you up with him if you'd like it, connect you with him. Just let me know, shoot me a message. But here's the reason that we work with Jeremy, because Jeremy helps them understand their numbers. Right? The bidding process. How do I bid to make sure that I'm always profitable? In other words, I'm not mad if I lose a job because I know that if I would have charged anything less, I would have lost money. Right? How do you get your EBITDA up, your net income up? You charge right? It's a proactive thing, not a reactive thing. You can't bid the job and then try and figure out between manpower and materials how you're going to do it for cheaper. No, it's a front end thing. And that's where it is that you need to focus. Again, to wrap this whole thing up, you're going to sell your business. And I hate to break it to you. You're going to exit at some point. Hopefully it's on your terms, but it may not be. But either way, how do you maximize what you can sell your business for? Get an operating system in place. Get a team that can run the business without you with the right systems and processes, and then make sure that you're profitable at the highest level you can be. And I guarantee you'll have people beating down your door to want to buy your business. All right, that's all I got for you. You know what time it is. Go implement some of these things. Quit being the guy that's hanging out on the sidelines pretending he's watching. Man, this is really good. Like, share. Go implement, man. Be successful. Time to get after it. 3, 2, 1. Off you go. Thanks for listening to the Success Unleashed podcast. Before we go, show some love for your favorite podcast by liking, subscribing, and leaving us a review. Until we see you again, it's time to get after it. 3, 2, 1, off you go.